This is Mr. Priscilla, and today we're going to be discussing inductive and deductive reasoning. At this point, hopefully you've read in the book about inductive and deductive reasoning and watched Rebecca Miller's video discussing it, and I'm going to be working the homework today. Hopefully here's something that you should have gotten out of your readings and the video about inductive and deductive reasoning. I'm going to make a table. Type of reasoning, and then this table's going to have 3 columns. Next one, conclusions based on and is conclusion always true? So the first type of reasoning you read about was inductive reasoning. With inductive reasoning, the conclusions are based on patterns that you've observed. Maybe you've observed that a certain football team has won 5 of its last games, so they're playing another game tonight, and you might say, well, based on that pattern, I predict that this team's going to win again tonight. But there's no facts to back that up. It might win, it might not. Well, there's facts, this pattern, but is the conclusion true always? No. Just maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. Okay? Maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. The next type of reasoning is deductive reasoning. And deductive reasoning is based on facts. Is the conclusion true? Yes. Now we're going to see some examples of these, and we have to decide, okay, what type of reasoning is it? So what I'm doing is just working through the homework. I printed out my homework from my math lab. And now let's see. But remember, inductive reasoning is based on patterns. Deductive reasoning is based on facts. So like the first one, we examined the pattern of 870 people. No 2 individuals in this group of people have identical fingerprints, so we conclude that for all people, no 2 people have identical fingerprints. Well, this is based on a pattern. You've looked at 870 people, so this is inductive reasoning. Okay, it's based on a pattern. Number second one, inductive or deductive. Every coach must know his sport well. So that's a fact. If you're going to be a coach, you got to know your sport well. Marty Wright is a baseball coach. So Marty Wright knows baseball well. Well, that's based on facts. There's not this pattern looking at. So this is deductive reasoning. Now for the third one. Sort of flying through these. Can y'all see that? You read the newspaper daily. Lately, you have noticed more articles about increased tuition at various public and private colleges and universities. You draw the conclusion that all colleges and universities have increased tuition. Which type of reasoning is this? Are you drawing a generalization based on specific examples, inductive, or applying a generalization to specifics, deductive. So is this based on some sort of pattern you've seen or based on facts? Well, it's based on the fact that, or it's based on the, you've noticed a pattern. You've seen more and more colleges. So what would y'all say this is? This is another inductive reasoning. Now let's see. Here's my little table summarizing inductive and deductive reasoning. Probably going to want a whole lot of these problems on the test. Okay, they're pretty short. Okay, number 4. A patient in the emergency room is monitored for heartbeat, oxygenation level, etc. The nurse notices that the heartbeat averages 80 but drops to 60 beats every other minute and then spikes to 120. The cardiologists have asked the nurses to notify them if this happened, as that pattern is indicative of a heart attack. The nurse calls the doctor. Is the nurse using inductive or deductive reasoning? Well, notice it even mentions the word pattern, but this is actually based on facts. That's just going to sort of trick you, okay? Here's the heartbeat. Let's read through it again. It averages 80, but it drops to 60 every other minute and then spikes to 120. If this happens, the nurse is supposed to call the doctor because that's indicative of a heart attack. Well, it's happened. So using her facts that the heartbeat is dropping to 60 and then spiking to 120, using the fact that that's a sign of a heart attack or indicative of a heart attack, this is deductive reasoning. Even though it says the word pattern, that one's a little tricky. Number 5. Choose which reasoning process is shown. Okay. We examined the fingerprints of 1,673 people. Hey, this seems familiar. No two individuals in this group of people have identical fingerprints. We conclude that for all people, no two have identical fingerprints. I believe this was one that sometimes my math lab will do it, the way it's trying to regenerate stuff. Yeah, we've already done that with different numbers. Okay, you're looking it's based on your observation of 1,673 people. This is inductive reasoning. So we have inductive and deductive reasoning. Okay. Inductive reasoning is based on your noticing, observing certain things. It's not just based on facts. You've observed 870 people. You've noticed there are more articles about tuition rises in the newspaper. Tuition raises. Well, again, they've observed 1,673 people. Deductive reasoning is based on facts, not just, okay, I've noticed this from a whole lot of observations. The coach knows his sports well. Marty's a coach, so he has to know his sport well. Here. Okay. Heartbeat going from 80, dropping to 60, and spiking to 120 is indicative of a heart attack. That's a fact. So that nurse has to call the doctor. Okay. So this first assignment is pretty short, and so hopefully you'll get it done and stay on the ball working with the homework in this. Okay. So thank you for listening and watching. Have a good day.